Have you ever wondered why some people seem to always twist arguments to make themselves the victim, no matter the situation? In the vast landscape of human behavior, there's a particularly harmful pattern that stands out: narcissistic behavior. It's more than just an inflated sense of self-importance or the tendency to be self-centered. Narcissism is a pervasive pattern that can cause substantial emotional distress to those around them. Narcissistic behavior isn't as rare as we might think. It's prevalent in various forms, lurking in the corners of our day-to-day interactions. It's the acquaintance who never accepts responsibility, the friend who always shifts blame, or the relative who invalidates your feelings. It's not just a personality quirk, it's a habitual pattern that can be emotionally draining and psychologically damaging. Understanding this behavior is the first step towards safeguarding oneself from its harmful effects. Today, we dive deep into the tactics narcissists often use during arguments and why they resort to such measures. First on our list is a tactic known as gaslighting. This term, stemming from the classic 1944 movie Gaslight, describes a form of psychological manipulation where the perpetrator sows seeds of doubt in the victim's mind, causing them to question their own memory, perception, and even sanity. Narcissists often employ gaslighting as a weapon of control. They can be subtle, like a dismissive comment here, or a slight contradiction there. Over time, these small inconsistencies can make the victim start to question their own reality. Imagine being told repeatedly that your version of events is incorrect, that you didn't see or hear what you think you did. This happens so often that you start to believe it. You begin to doubt your own experiences and perceptions, which is exactly what the narcissist wants. Gaslighting can lead to a devastating cycle of self-doubt and confusion in the victim. It's a powerful tool in the narcissist's arsenal and one to be wary of. Moving on, we have two closely linked tactics: blame shifting and invalidation. Blame shifting is a classic maneuver. Instead of taking responsibility for their actions or words, narcissists often turn the tables to make others feel guilty. It's a diversionary tactic, a sleight of hand to redirect attention away from their own shortcomings. On the other hand, invalidation is a subtle yet equally damaging tactic. By dismissing or minimizing the feelings, thoughts, or experiences of others, narcissists maintain their superior position. They may use phrases like "you're too sensitive" or "you're overreacting" to belittle the experiences of others, making their reality seem less valid or even imaginary. Both tactics serve the same purpose: to maintain control. By shifting blame, they avoid accountability. Through invalidation, they assert their dominance, undermining the confidence of those around them. It's a power play, a strategic game of emotional chess. Through blame shifting and invalidation, narcissists maintain control and avoid accountability. Next up, we encounter a strange mix of criticism, insults, and manipulative flattery. Narcissists are known for their cruel use of criticism and insults. They use these tactics to belittle others, chipping away at their self-esteem and making them feel small and insignificant. The aim is to establish a power dynamic where the narcissist is dominant and their victim feels dependent and inferior. But these individuals are not just about negativity and put-downs. They also use manipulative flattery as a weapon of control. They shower their victims with compliments, but these are not genuine expressions of admiration. Instead, they are calculated moves designed to keep their victims off balance. One moment they're tearing you down, the next they're building you up. It's a confusing and disorienting cycle that feeds the narcissist's need for control. This blend of degradation and praise leaves victims in a constant state of emotional turmoil. Now let's talk about the more overt tactics: threats, intimidation, and isolation. Narcissists often use threats and intimidation as weapons, instilling fear in their victims. This might be as subtle as a veiled threat disguised as concern, or as blatant as an outright threat of harm. The purpose? To create an atmosphere of fear and uncertainty, making the victim more malleable and easier to control. And then there's isolation. This is a particularly insidious tactic. The narcissist will seek to cut their victim off from their support networks, their friends, their family, even their co-workers. They might spin tales, create misunderstandings, or even flat out forbid contact. The aim is to make the victim feel alone, to make them think that the narcissist is the only one who truly cares for or understands them. It's a cruel manipulation designed to foster dependence. These tactics serve to trap the victim in a cycle of fear and dependence. Lastly, we examine three more subtle tactics: withholding, triangulation, and minimization of abuse. Withholding is a powerful tool the narcissist uses as a form of punishment. By denying affection, information, or communication, they create a power dynamic that leaves the other person feeling uncertain and desperate for resolution. Next, we have triangulation. This is when the narcissist introduces another person into the dynamic to create conflict, competition, or to validate their own views. It's a divisive strategy designed to destabilize relationships and reinforce the narcissist's position of power. Finally, there's minimization of abuse. This is a particularly insidious tactic where the narcissist downplays their abusive behaviors, often framing them as jokes, misunderstandings, or even expressions of love. This serves to confuse the victim, making them question their own perception of the abuse. These tactics further serve to confuse, isolate, and control the victim. To wrap up our discussion on narcissistic tactics, let's take a brief stroll down memory lane. We began with gaslighting, a subtle yet insidious technique wherein the narcissist attempts to alter your perception of reality, making you question your own memory, judgment, and even sanity. Next, we delved into blame shifting and invalidation. The narcissist, in their quest to avoid accountability, shifts the blame onto others, often invalidating their feelings and experiences in the process. This tactic is a double whammy, as it not only absolves them of responsibility, but also undermines the confidence and self-esteem of their target. We then navigated the terrain of criticism and insults, and manipulative flattery. The narcissist uses these as tools to break down their victim's self-worth, only to build it back up with insincere compliments, creating a confusing, emotional rollercoaster that leaves the victim dependent on the narcissist's approval. Threats and intimidation, along with isolation, followed. By instilling fear and cutting off their target from outside support, the narcissist gains complete control, leaving the victim feeling helpless and alone. Finally, we covered the trifecta of withholding, triangulation, and minimization of abuse. Withholding love and affection as a form of punishment, pitting people against each other to create conflict, and downplaying abusive behavior are all part of the narcissist's playbook to maintain control and dominance. Recognizing these tactics is crucial. It's like being handed a roadmap to a labyrinth, allowing you to navigate your way out of the narcissist's web of manipulation. If you find yourself in such a situation, remember, you are not alone. There are resources available, professionals trained to provide support and guidance, and communities of people who have experienced the same and emerged stronger on the other side. Remember, understanding these tactics is the first step towards setting boundaries and protecting yourself from narcissistic abuse.